Please consider supporting our channel by liking this video and subscribing for more content. The Best Werewolf Movies of All Time Part 4. Number 20. I Was a Teenage Werewolf, 1957. I Was a Teenage Werewolf is a 1957 horror film directed by Gene Fowler Jr. and starring Michael Landon. The story revolves around the transformation of a troubled teenager into a werewolf and the subsequent chaos that ensues. The film follows Tony Rivers, played by Michael Landon, a high school student who is struggling with anger and behavioral issues. Concerned about his behavior, his father, Dr. Alfred Brandon, played by Whit Bissell, a psychiatrist, decides to use Tony as a subject for an experimental hypnotherapy treatment. Dr. Brandon believes that by tapping into Tony's primal instincts and fears, he can help him overcome his aggression. However, unbeknownst to Tony, the treatment has unintended consequences. As a result of the experimental therapy, Tony begins to exhibit lycanthropic tendencies, transforming into a werewolf whenever he experiences heightened emotions. Tony's transformations into a werewolf lead to a series of violent and gruesome attacks on the local community. As the attacks escalate, the town becomes gripped by fear and panic. Tony himself struggles to come to terms with his condition, feeling trapped and isolated by his uncontrollable urges. Meanwhile, Dr. Brandon realizes the grave mistake he has made and desperately tries to find a way to reverse Tony's transformation. He seeks the help of another psychiatrist, Dr. Hugo Wagner, played by Joseph Mell, who is more knowledgeable about the supernatural elements involved. As the climax approaches, Tony's violent episodes become more frequent, and the community becomes more determined to capture and kill the creature responsible. Driven by guilt and a desire to protect his son, Dr. Brandon and Dr. Wagner work against the clock to find a solution before it's too late. In a dramatic finale, Tony's werewolf form is eventually confronted, leading to a climactic struggle that tests the character's courage and determination. The film ends with a resolution, as the true nature of Tony's affliction is revealed, and the fate of the characters is determined. I Was a Teenage Werewolf is a classic horror movie that explores themes of adolescence, identity, and the consequences of tampering with nature. It remains a notable entry in the genre and is remembered for its portrayal of a teenage werewolf and the havoc it wreaks on a small town. Number 21. The Beast Must Die, 1974. The Beast Must Die is a 1974 British horror film directed by Paul Annett. It is based on the novel There Are No Spies by James W. Nichols. The film follows a wealthy big game hunter named Tom Newcliffe, who invites a group of guests to his secluded mansion to participate in a deadly game of cat and mouse, as he believes one of them is a werewolf. Tom Newcliffe, played by Calvin Lockhart, is a wealthy and eccentric man with a keen interest in hunting. He becomes convinced that there is a werewolf among his invited guests, and decides to prove his theory by setting up an elaborate game. The guests include an artist, a former diplomat, a concert pianist, a famous cricket player, and others. Tom explains to his guests that one of them is a werewolf and that by the end of the weekend, he will identify and kill the creature. He installs high-tech surveillance equipment throughout his mansion and sets up various traps to catch the werewolf. He also provides each guest with a silver bullet for self-defense. As the days pass, tension and paranoia grow among the guests. Tom orchestrates a series of events designed to provoke the werewolf and reveal its identity. He stages a mock funeral and creates situations that test the guests' reactions, hoping to uncover their secret nature. The guests become increasingly suspicious of each other, and alliances form and break. During the course of the investigation, several guests display unusual behavior, further fueling the paranoia. As the full moon approaches, Tom's determination to expose the werewolf intensifies. He becomes more ruthless in his methods, pushing the guests to their limits and risking their lives. The suspense builds as the group is stalked by the unknown werewolf, and the tension reaches its peak during a climactic final confrontation. Tom finally confronts the werewolf in a deadly showdown, leading to a revelation of the creature's true identity and motive. The Beast Must Die is known for its unique structure as a werewolf whodunit. It combines elements of mystery and horror, keeping the audience guessing about the true identity of the beast until the very end. The film explores themes of paranoia, trust, and the dark side of human nature, as the characters are pushed to their limits in the pursuit of survival. Number 22. Werewolves on Wheels, 1971. Werewolves on Wheels is a 1971 exploitation horror film directed by Michel Levesque. The movie follows a biker gang that unwittingly becomes involved with a satanic cult of werewolves. The story centers around a biker gang called the Devil's Advocates, consisting of a tight-knit group of motorcycle enthusiasts. The gang, led by their charismatic leader Adam, played by Stephen Oliver, is on a cross-country road trip when they encounter a mysterious satanic cult in the desert. While camping for the night, the gang stumbles upon a ritualistic ceremony conducted by the cult. Unbeknownst to them, the cult members are werewolves who are seeking new recruits to join their pack. The gang's presence disrupts the ceremony, and the cult members become hostile towards them. As the gang continues their journey, they find themselves haunted by strange occurrences and supernatural events. They soon realize that they have been cursed by the werewolf cult, and one by one, the gang members begin to transform into werewolves themselves. Haunted by their newfound monstrous nature, the gang members struggle to maintain their humanity while battling their primal instincts. They find themselves torn between their loyalty to each other and their growing bloodlust as they embark on a violent and chaotic rampage. The film explores themes of loyalty, identity, and the struggle between good and evil. As the gang members grapple with their transformations, their relationships are put to the test. They must decide whether to embrace their newfound power or fight against it. As the climax approaches, the gang confronts the satanic cult in an epic showdown. They must find a way to break the curse and free themselves from the clutches of the werewolf cult. The final battle between the bikers and the werewolves is filled with intense action and gore. Number 24, The Wolfman, 2010. The Wolfman is a 2010 horror film directed by Joe Johnston. It is a remake of the classic 1941 film of the same name. The story follows Lawrence Talbot, a man who returns to his family estate in England after the mysterious death of his brother, only to become cursed with lycanthropy and transform into a werewolf. Lawrence Talbot, played by Benicio del Toro, is an acclaimed Shakespearean actor living in America. He receives a letter from his brother's fiancée, Gwen Conliffe, played by Emily Blunt, informing him about his brother's disappearance and asking for his help. Lawrence decides to return to his ancestral home, Blackmore, in England to investigate. Once in Blackmore, Lawrence reunites with his estranged father, Sir John Talbot, played by Anthony Hopkins, and his brother's grieving fiancée, Gwen. As he delves deeper into the circumstances surrounding his brother's death, Lawrence discovers a dark secret about his family's curse. During a visit to a gypsy camp in search of answers, Lawrence is attacked by a creature and gets bitten. He survives the attack but soon realizes that he has been cursed with lycanthropy, turning him into a werewolf when the moon is full. As the full moon approaches, Lawrence begins to experience violent and uncontrollable transformations. Lawrence's transformations into a werewolf result in a series of brutal murders in the village of Blackmore. The local townspeople become terrified and form a mob, determined to hunt down the creature responsible for the killings. Lawrence, tormented by his dual nature, must find a way to control his transformations and stop the bloodshed. As he delves deeper into his family's history, Lawrence uncovers a tragic past and the truth about his father's involvement in the curse. He also learns that the curse can only be broken through death. With Gwen's help, Lawrence races against time to find a way to lift the curse and put an end to the killings. The film reaches its climax as Lawrence confronts both his own inner demons and the townspeople who are out to destroy him. The final battle between the werewolf and his pursuers is a thrilling and intense showdown. The Wolfman combines elements of classic Gothic horror with modern visual effects, delivering a dark and atmospheric tale of curses, monsters, and family secrets. It explores themes of identity, the struggle between good and evil, and the consequences of unleashing one's inner beast. Number 25, Roma Santa, The Werewolf Hunt, 2004. Roma Santa, The Werewolf Hunt is a 2004 Spanish historical horror film directed by Paco Plaza. The movie is inspired by the real-life case of Manuel Blanco Roma Santa, a 19th-century serial killer who claimed to be a werewolf. The film follows the investigation into his crimes and delves into themes of identity, madness, and the blurred lines between reality and folklore. The story is set in 1850s Galicia, Spain. Roma Santa, played by Julian Sands, is a traveling merchant who becomes the prime suspect in a series of gruesome murders that have plagued the region. The victims are young women who have been brutally killed and mutilated. A magistrate named Lucas, played by David Gant, is assigned to investigate the murders and bring the killer to justice. As Lucas delves deeper into the case, he becomes intrigued by Roma Santa, who claims that he is not responsible for the crimes and that he transforms into a werewolf. Lucas struggles to reconcile the supernatural claims of Roma Santa with his duty as an investigator. He seeks the help of an expert in folk medicine and folklore, Barbara, played by Elsa Pataky, who is skeptical but open-minded. Together, they uncover disturbing evidence that challenges their beliefs and raises questions about the nature of evil. As the investigation unfolds, a complex web of lies, deceit, and psychological manipulation is revealed. Roma Santa's true nature and motives become increasingly ambiguous, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. The film explores the psychological torment and inner turmoil experienced by both Roma Santa and Lucas as they grapple with their own demons. The narrative takes a dark turn as Roma Santa's wolf-like transformations are depicted, and the true extent of his crimes is exposed. The film delves into the horrifying depths of his actions, exploring the themes of monstrosity, the duality of human nature, and the dark allure of the supernatural. In the climactic finale, Lucas and Barbara must confront Roma Santa and uncover the truth behind the murders. Number 26 Van Helsing, 2004. Van Helsing is a 2004 action horror film directed by Stephen Sommers. The movie follows the adventures of Gabriel Van Helsing, a legendary monster hunter, as he battles against iconic creatures such as Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and the Wolfman. The story begins with Gabriel Van Helsing, played by Hugh Jackman, a renowned monster hunter working for a secret organization known as the Vatican's Knights of the Holy Order. Van Helsing has no memory of his past and is driven by a relentless pursuit of evil. His latest mission is to travel to Transylvania and assist Anna Valerius, played by Kate Beckinsale, and her family in defeating the powerful Count Dracula, played by Richard Roxburgh. As Van Helsing arrives in Transylvania, he learns that the Valerius family has been cursed for generations, and their fate is tied to that of Dracula. Anna's family is haunted by a werewolf curse, and their only hope of redemption lies in killing Dracula. Together, Van Helsing and Anna set out to destroy the vampire lord and break the curse. Throughout their journey, Van Helsing and Anna encounter a variety of monstrous adversaries. They face off against Dracula's brides, who are seductive and deadly vampire creatures. They also cross paths with Frankenstein's monster, played by Schuler Hensley, who becomes a pivotal figure in the battle against Dracula. As the story progresses, Van Helsing's mysterious past is slowly revealed. It is discovered that he was once an angel named Gabriel, who was sent to Earth to atone for his sins. His past actions and connection to Dracula play a crucial role in the ultimate confrontation between the two characters. The film features intense action sequences, epic battles, and thrilling encounters with various legendary monsters. Van Helsing utilizes an array of weapons and gadgets to combat the supernatural threats, showcasing his skills as a formidable monster hunter. In the final act, Van Helsing faces off against Dracula in a climactic battle within the foreboding castle Dracula. The fate of Transylvania and the Valerius family hangs in the balance as the two adversaries engage in a fierce struggle. Van Helsing combines elements of horror, fantasy, and adventure, paying homage to classic Universal Studios monsters. It offers a fast-paced and visually stunning spectacle filled with iconic creatures and thrilling escapades. The film explores themes of redemption, sacrifice, and the eternal battle between good and evil.